Hi, and welcome to my home. My name is Tiffany, and I'm the dyer and maker behind Latah Valley Fiber Co. You can follow me online at Latah Valley Fiber Co. You can visit my shop at latahvalleyfiberco.etsy.com. And if you'd like to message me, you can do that through email, lvfiberco@gmail.com. How are you all doing today? Thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your day to join me here as I talk about my finished projects and projects I'm currently working on, as well as shop news. So, on this week's episode, I talk about my son's finished Pikachu project, as well as the blending of Merino and Alpaca. So if that interests you, let's just jump right into that. So in last week's episode, I had started a Pikachu Pal project for my son. Now, the pattern is on RAVELRY and it's under Pikachu Pal. I can't remember the designer, but I'll put that here. So, there's a few things about this pattern. Now, my son loves this. It's a little funky. It's definitely handmade. So it's quirky. But my son doesn't care. He loves the thing. I asked him for it so I could show you all the finished project. And he didn't mind. So it follows him everywhere. It's always somewhere in his vicinity. So I'll post a picture of what the Pikachu Pal is supposed to look like here and compare to what I have here. And you will see that the patterning of the body is different. And that's because I didn't understand, or the pattern didn't say to join in the round. So you would get this stockinette stitch of the body that's on the pattern if you joined in the round and just knit and knit and knit and did what the pattern said. But the pattern actually didn't say to join for knitting in the round. It just said knit, cast on so many stitches, the second round knit, the third round knit, increase, blah, blah, blah. So to me, that wasn't enough instruction to know that, oh, I need to actually join for knitting in the round. So instead of the stockinette of the pattern, I have a garter stitch, which actually is not, it's not too bad actually. There's a lot of texture and my son likes it. He likes the fact that it's, for his hands. There's a little bit more texture to it. Which is appealing. So squishability, I guess. I did stuff this with 100% Shetland wool from my fleeces. They're second cuts from my fleeces that I processed last year. And it's a win. So he's kind of funny looking, but my son doesn't mind. And it was actually a pretty quick project. I think I did it in 2 days. I solely knit on this though. I don't think I did my socks or any of the other projects. So, but you knit them in pieces and then you add, the feet, the arms, the ears, and the tail. But it was a fun project to do, and I think I would probably do another one. It was actually a pretty good palette cleanser. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I get a little bored with my knitting. If it's not engaging my brain or challenging my brain in some capacity, I get a little bored. And my vanilla socks are kind of that way, and I've knit a lot of socks recently. And so with vanilla socks, you're basically just knitting in a circle around and around and around and around and around. So I needed something that was a little more challenging, and that's what this was. So it was a great palette cleanser, and it got me excited about knitting again. So if you ever need that, try doing a stuffy. So that's my finished project. My next project is a cast on, and it is a pair of socks. But with this pair of socks, I am doing, they're mostly vanilla, but they have a pattern to them. So it's a little bit more challenging and technical, and I have to think about it a little bit more. So I thought maybe it would keep my interest. We'll see. So this is the yarn. Whoops. The yarn I'm using is the caramel yarn, and it's the Malabrigo Ultimate Sock. And this is 75% merino, 25% nylon. They recommend a 2.25 needle to a 3.25 needle, and I am using the smaller in DPNs. Oops. I've got two balls going here, so that's kind of tangled. I am doing 2 at a time socks, but on DPNs. And so how I do that is I cast on both toes, and I knit, and then I'll come over and I'll knit this one to the same. So they kind of in tandem go up and down and up and down. And when I finish for the day, they're about the same length. So that's how I do 2 at a time on DPNs. Now, this is the yarn, and it's beautiful. This is my favorite color of all time, this coppery orange color. And I do have 2 balls in here, and so they're tangling a little bit, but yarn management can be a little dicey. So this is the Laid Edge pattern by Kelly McPherson, and I got this off of Pinterest, I believe, but she does have a link to her Ravelry account, so I assume you can also get it off of there. I cast on 20 stitches, so 10 stitches on 2 needles, and I increased every other row with a knit front back until I had 64 stitches. And then I knit 5 rows of just knitting in the round before I started the pattern. And the pattern is it's an interesting detail. It's kind of a slip stitch at an angle, kind of a faux cabling. It's super easy. It's not, so cabling can be a little tricky. This is pretty easy. You knit into the first stitch of the round, and you wrap the yarn 3 times before knitting it. Then you knit 4 stitches and then do that again, and then you knit across and you do it on the other side. That's the first step. And then you knit around, and when you come to it again, so the second round of that, then you actually process that, or you finish the patterning, and that's what gives it this at an angle. It kind of comes like this all the way up the sock. So I think it'll look cool. It looked really fun on the sample, and I'll put a picture here. So yeah, these are my knitting socks, and we're going camping for the 4th of July this weekend. And so I'm really excited to maybe get pretty far on these socks during that time. I might even get to the heel and turn those. So we'll see. Okay, so that's it for works in progress. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was a couple skeins of sock yarn that I have in my shop. And they are these three. This is the purple or gray. This is bubblegum, and this is bright pink. I have 1 skein of the purple or gray, 4 skeins of the bubblegum, and 3 skeins of the bright pink. Now, these are colorways that I am not going to be carrying in my shop. This was part of the first batch that I dyed. So I was trying to, you know, get my recipes down and perfect those a little bit. And so these colors are slightly off of what I have settled on for pinks. So I had my dad over yesterday, and these were laying out here because I needed to take pictures of them. And he liked this purple. So I thought maybe I would just knit him a pair of socks out of this. So this purple has a little bit of gray streaking in it, which is why I didn't want to carry it in my shop. I want it to be purple. And I have since come up with a purple that I really like, and it's not this. So my dad's gonna get a pair of socks out of that. So I am gonna put the bubblegum and bright pink on the shop. And again, this is sock yarn, so it does have that nylon. You don't necessarily need to knit socks out of it. You could knit a shawl, a t-shirt, or a sweater. So it's very versatile. But the pink that I ended up coming up with my recipe is slightly more faded than this, which is what I'm drawn to. But yeah, so these will be in the shop starting today or tomorrow. So if you're interested in these 2 bright colors, look for them there. That's it for shop news. I do want to talk a little bit about another project that I'm working on that's fleece related. So this is Merino and Alpaca blended together, and I'm blending this on my Carter, and this project has been languishing for a little bit because I've had a lot on my plate, as well as I was having trouble, and I think I did this in a couple episodes back, about my Carter is set up for coarser fleece, and alpaca is pretty fine. So when I was feeding it through the Liquorin onto the big drum, it was staying on the Liquorin and not pulling on to the big drum. And so I was struggling with that and not really sure how to get around that. And my dad was over, and he said he had watched some videos of people who were just feeding the finer fleece directly onto the large drum and totally bypassing the Liquorin. And so we tried that while he was here, and it worked actually really well. So I am going to finish up. I have started another batch on there of this mixture. And so I'm going to finish that up and then spin it. And then I'm going to dye it. So this is where I'm at with this project. This is probably 2 ounces of merino and alpaca. It's probably, I haven't weighed it actually. I should do that. That would be helpful. I'll weigh it before I had actually weighed 3 pounds or 3 ounces, not pounds, 3 ounces of the merino and 1 ounce of the alpaca. I wanted to blend that together. So that's what I did originally. So I have that. I just don't know what this is per se. But for the total, I will have 4 ounces, which is what I would like to spin, and then blend. I had spun some just straight merino, and I was going to blend that with this. So I'll have a total of 8 ounces total for that skein. So it'll be a bigger skein of yarn, but I'm excited to see how it goes and to see how it spins up. And then I might offer that in my shop. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see where it goes. I like projects like that that are a little challenging. It kind of keeps my mind engaged and always trying to figure out the problem. And sometimes I like that because you have to be more involved in your knitting. Sometimes it's nice to just knit and knit and knit and not think. Like if you're talking with people, or you know, you're in a busy area and you're trying to pay attention to what's going on. In that case, it's nice to have vanilla because you don't have to look at your work. You can just knit and engage with the conversation. But if I'm at home and I have some time to sit and knit, I want to knit something challenging, something that really takes focus, and maybe the stitch is a little challenging. I like that. I think it's it brings excitement to the project and to my life. So yeah, that's all I have for those projects. And yeah, what are you guys working on this summer? It's summer now, so that's kind of fun. We are camping this weekend, our first camping trip of the season, so we're really excited about that. And the weather is going to be beautiful for it. So yeah, I hope you guys are getting out and enjoying that weather too. So I thought I would do a little side about what I have on my Ravelry page as far as projects that I want to knit in the future. And so I'm just going to take a few minutes and run through that, and I'll post pictures here. I was looking at this because I was kind of in a slump of not really inspired to knit, not really desiring to knit. And so I was looking at this and thought, oh man, that's really helping me to be engaged and be inspired to knit. So I thought I would share some of that with you in case you are also kind of in a slump of just not really feeling the knitting mojo. I guess that's what it's called, knitting mojo. And so I have a couple here that I thought I would share with you. Now some of these I have knit, and so I'll just make a note of those that I have done. So the first one on my board is it must be under, I don't use Ravelry all that much. I'll get on there and try and be inspired and pull or favorite some patterns, but I don't actually get on there a whole lot. Like I don't list my projects on there, which would be helpful to do. So the first one on my list is the Pikachu inspired amigurumi. And as you can see, it is somewhat similar to this one, but it's a different pattern that I actually knit. So I may actually take that one off and not knit it. Okay, the second one on my list is the Pink Salt Vest. And if you've been watching for any amount of time, you'll know that I have actually started that vest. I'm knitting it in my hand-dyed blue yarn. And I dyed that with indigo, which is a vat of dye. And it's a little for some reason, the color didn't adhere to the yarn. And so I've been struggling with it coming off on my hands while I'm knitting the vest. And so I've lost a lot of desire to knit that vest because of the yarn. So I may have to just scrap that yarn and start the vest with the yarn that it calls for. The next thing I have on my list is the watch cap hat and mitts. And again, I have knit this hat multiple times this year. It was one of my favorite hats to knit. So yeah, it's an easy pattern. The next one is a sock. It's called the Forest Spell socks, and I have actually knit 2 pairs of these. This was my Christmas socks for my husband and my son this year, and yeah, those were fun to knit. The next patterns I have is the tin ceiling washcloth, and I have knit this twice. It's a fun pattern, and I used it as a gift that I gave to a couple people actually. So that was a fun pattern for a washcloth. The next one that I haven't knit, but I would love to, is the Gib by Andrea Mowry. And I just love how this pattern has all over texture. I think it would be really engaging throughout the whole sweater. So I do have that I would love to knit. So the next pattern I have is called the La Pouf, and it's a cardigan. And I just loved how this this pattern has kind of bellish sleeves, and it just looks like a comfy, cozy cardigan. It's a little cropped, so it would probably fit like right at your waist, your natural waist. And it's super pretty as well. So that one is on my list to do. The other one, another one I have is called the Jenny, and it is also by Andrea Mowry. And it is a cardigan with a belt. And I really like that. It sits a little bit lower on your waist. I do like Andrea Mowry patterns. I've knit several of them. This is knit with DK weight yarn, which is my favorite weight of yarn. So I could knit that with some of my own hand dyed. That would be fun. But again, that's the Jenny by Andrea Mowry. And yeah. So along my, one of the things that I've always wanted to knit that I haven't actually gotten around to is a colorwork sweater. And I have several. The next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are colorwork sweaters. And the first one is the Wintersole by Jennifer Steingass. And it's this beautiful tree looking leafy yoked part of the sweater. And then there is some of the design also at the bottom and the cuffs. It is beautiful. It's worsted weight, so it would be super warm. It would be fast to knit up. Yeah. So the next one is the Autumn Tweed Pullover by Twin Stitches Designs. And it has, it looks somewhat, oh, it's knit in DK as well, so that's a plus. That's probably why I liked it. But it has like this, they almost look like hearts or arrows on the top. So I like that pattern a lot. The Feather Cardigan, it's not a pullover, it's a cardigan, but it again has that yoke where all of the patterning is at the top. And it is super beautiful. It is in DK as well. And it has a kid's version. It's very cute. I really like this gray with kind of the muted blending, kind of a fade. Not really a fade. Several different colors in the colorwork pattern. It's very pretty. And then the Western Rose is the next one that I have. It, instead of putting the colorwork on the yoke, put it on the body of the sweater, which I thought was unique and different. This one is by Thea Coleman, and it's DK as well. It's really beautiful. I like that one a lot. So see, I need to get knitting, or else I'm never going to get this done. I've seen this one several times. The next one is called the Bubbly Sweater. And I've seen it a lot on like Instagram, Pinterest, and of course Ravelry. But it's a pretty simple design on the top, but the sweater itself looks very comfortable and cozy. So I do like that a lot. This next one is the Farmhouse Dish Towels. And I haven't knit this yet, but I thought I need some updated dish towels, and I thought, I could just knit them, and these ones are really cute. So, and that would be a fun, easy project. So, like I said, I like Andrea Mowry patterns, and I have actually knit several of her things, including the Weekender and the Comfort Fade Cardi. So the additional ones I have from Andrea Mowry are the Shift, that's the cowl, the Spark Cardi, the Junction Pullover, the Everyway Shawl, the Night Shift, and the Nurtured Sweater. So those are all ones that I would love to knit from Andrea Mowry. And a couple that I have knit from hers are the Ramble Shawl. I knit that out of 100% alpaca that I spun myself. It is so warm. It is so drapey. It is lovely. That was my first ever brioche, and yes, I tackled it. I did the brioche and I ripped the brioche out, and I did the brioche and I ripped the brioche out, and finally I decided to put in lifelines, and that was a game changer. So I highly recommend that sweater, or that shawl, if you want a challenge. The other one that I've done from Andrea Mowry here is the Weekender, and I've knit that 3 times. It's beautiful. It's a lovely, lovely sweater. The next one here that I have is called the Boxy, and it's from Joji Locatelli. And I just like how it has all the drape and yet classic. It's fingering weight, so it wouldn't be like super overheating, I guess. Is that the term? It's very flattering, probably would be very flattering on my body style. So that is the next one. I also have the Bendy Arrow shawl, which is by Charlotte Bory. And I just love how there's so much going on. So much going on. And it would be a statement piece for sure. I mean, I guess depending on the colors that you used. This is a fingering weight, and it just is beautiful, as you can tell by the pictures. Okay, a couple more. I have a cowl. It's called the Erica cowl with an A, A-R-I-K-A. And it has fringe. It's done in bulky weight yarn. And as you can see, it's just beautiful. It's got all this fringe on it. It's close to your neck, so it would keep you super warm. This one has been popular for a while, or at least it was a couple of years ago. I haven't actually seen it a whole lot. It's called the On the Spice Market by Melanie Berg. And it too could be a really bright color eye catcher. It's done in fingering weight as well. This one, the Bradway, was super squishy looking. It's worsted weight. It just looks so cozy and warm. This one is by Shannon Cook, and I would love to do that one too. There's only so many scarves I feel like you can wear, but why not? They're all beautiful. The Harrow shawl also by Shannon Cook. It's just so big and squishy. It is also in worsted weight. I like the lines of it going through. Very, very beautiful. Okay, we're down to the last couple here. Oh, actually the last one, and it's also by Joji Locatelli. It's the Trevor pullover, and I liked this one because it's fingering weight yarn. I liked the stripes on the sleeves and at the bottom, and it's long and beautiful. I think you could, even if you did it just slightly longer, you could make it into a dress. So I think it's very pretty. So those are the patterns that are on my Ravelry queue to knit. Some of them I have knit, but seriously, I need to get knitting more. So thank you all for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed the video and learned something new. And if you'd like to leave a comment and talk about what you're working on, or if you had any questions about my projects or my yarn, feel free to leave a comment down below. Otherwise, have a great weekend. Enjoy the 4th of July. Stay safe, and I'll see you next week.